Chapter 9. Let me just double check. Chapter 9 is 3 pages. And chapter 10 is also 3 pages. So we will be reading 2 chapters tonight, 9 and 10. That rarely happens. It's like a fifth of one chapter of Island, yeah. Surprisingly, I think they have the same chapter count. No, there's a little more. There's a couple more chapters in Brave New World. I think Island has 15. Double space, 20 font. Paid by the chapter. And thank you for the follows. Alright, Brave New World, Spark Notes. We're set in a futuristic society full of people who worship Henry Ford. But we've met a few characters. The most important right now are Lenina, spelled Lenina, Lenina, and Bernard Marx, spelled Bernard Marx. And we recently met John, spelled John. I don't know if he has a last name. Lenina and Bernard Marx went on a date together for Valentine's Day. They went on a date, and they went to a Savage reservation, which was ripe with savages. And then they met John, who is a savage, but his mom is not a savage. His mom is from the other world, the Brave New World. His mom actually went on a trip, much like Bernard and Lenina. She also went on a date about 20 years ago, and she fell off a cliff and broke her leg and got lost, and then got adopted into the tribe. And her son, John, she was pregnant at the time, which is it is not smiled upon in this society to get pregnant. Babies are not born from mothers. Mother is a disgusting word in this society. So, she was actually pregnant, and then she fell off a cliff, and then she and her baby lived in the the Savage Reservation. And now his mom is... his mom is fat and ugly. But John just met these two people who came from the other world, which is outside of an electric fence. And he's really excited to finally meet some people from where his mom is from, where his mom and his dad are from. And John really likes Shakespeare and tribal stories. And he learned how to murder Pope from Shakespeare. Okay, no. Pope is the guy who is fucking his mom. And his mom is, oh god, how do we describe Linda? Linda's a bit of a... I mean, it's not her fault. The society that she was raised in, she's a very classy lady. But in the Savage Reservation, she's kind of a hoe. Nobody likes her except for the boys. And John really hates Pope because Pope has been fucking his mom the longest. And he tried to stab Pope, but he only stabbed him a couple times in the shoulder, and he did not succeed in killing him. John's got mommy issues. That's all I'm trying to say. John's got mommy issues. Doesn't John understand that everyone's mom belongs to everyone else? I know, right? Okay, and now we're on chapter 9. Thank you. Our mom. Oh, it's so bad. Okay. Lenina felt herself entitled, after this day of queerness and horror, to a complete and absolute holiday. As soon as they got back to the rest house, she swallowed 6 half-gram tabs of soma, lay down on her bed, and within 10 minutes had embarked for lunar eternity. It would be 18 hours at the least before she was in time again. Bernard, meanwhile, lay pensive and wide-eyed in the dark. It was long after midnight before he fell asleep. Long after midnight, but his insomnia had not been fruitless. He had a plan. Punctually on the following morning at 10 o'clock, the green-uniformed octoroon stepped out of his helicopter. Bernard was mating. Bernard was waiting for him among the agaves. Miss Crown's gone on a soma holiday, he explained. Can hardly be back before 5, which leaves us 7 hours. He could fly to Santa Fe, do all the business he had to do, and be in Malpai again long before she woke up. She'll be quite safe here by herself. Safe as helicopters, the octoroon assured him. They climbed into the machine and started off at once. At 10:34, they landed on the roof of the Santa Fe post office. At 10:37, Bernard had got through to the World Controller's office in Whitehall. At 10:39, he was speaking to his Ford ship's 4th personal secretary. At 10:44, he was repeating his story to the first secretary. And at 10:47 and a half, it was the deep, resonant voice of Mustafa Mond. Mustafa Mond himself that sounded in his ears. "I ventured to think," stammered Bernard, "that your Fordship might find the matter of sufficient scientific interest." "Yes, I do find it of sufficient scientific interest," said the deep voice. "Bring these two individuals back to London with you." "Your Fordship is aware that I shall need a special permit." "The necessary orders," said Mustafa Mond, "are being sent to the warden of the reservation at this moment. You will proceed at once to the warden's office. Good morning, Mr. Marks." There was silence. Bernard hung up the receiver and hurried to the roof. "Warden's office," he said to the gamma-green octoroon. At 10:54, Bernard was shaking hands with the warden. "Delighted, Mr. Marks, delighted." His boom was deferential. "We have just received special orders." "I know," said Bernard, interrupting him. "I was talking to his Fordship on the phone a moment ago." His bored tone implied that he was in the habit of talking to his Fordship every day of the week. He dropped into a chair. "If you'll kindly take all the necessary steps as soon as possible." "As soon as possible," he emphatically repeated. He was enjoying himself. "So long," he said patronizingly to the warden, who had accompanied him as far as the lift gates. "So long." He walked across to the hotel, had a bath, a vibro vacuum massage, and an electrolytic shave. Listened in on the morning's news, looked in for a half an hour on the televisor, ate a leisured luncheon, and at 2:30 flew back with the octoroon to Malpai. The young man stood outside the rest house. "Bernard," he called. "Bernard!" There was no answer. Noiseless on his deerskin moccasins, he ran up the steps and tried the door. The door was locked. They were gone. Gone. It was the most terrible thing that had ever happened to him. She had asked him to come and see them, and now they were gone. He sat down on the steps and cried. Half an hour later, it occurred to him to look through the window. The first thing he saw was a green suitcase with the initials LC painted on the lid. Joy flared up like fire within him. He picked up a stone. The smashed glass tinkled on the floor. A moment later, he was inside the room. They said tinkle on the floor. Okay, I'm good. Anyways, he broke the window and climbed inside. A moment later, he was inside the room. He opened the green suitcase. And all at once, he was breathing Lenina's perfume, filling his lungs with her essential being. His heart beat wildly. For a moment, he was almost faint. Then, bending over the precious box, he touched, he lifted into the light, he examined. The zippers on Lenina's spare pair of viscous velveteen shorts were at first a puzzle, then solved a delight. Zip, and then zip, zip, and then zip. He was enchanted. Her green slippers were the most beautiful things he had ever seen. He pogged wildly. I can't read chat when I'm reading. He was enchanted. Her green slippers were the most beautiful things he had ever seen. He unfolded a pair of zippy kamikniks, blushed, put them away hastily, but kissed a perfumed acetate handkerchief and wound a scarf around his neck. Opening a box, he spilt a cloud of scented powder. His hands were floury with the stuff. He wiped them on his chest and his shoulders, on his bare arms. Delicious perfume. He shut his eyes. He rubbed his cheek against his own powdered arm. Touch of smooth skin against his face. Scent in his nostrils of musky dust. Did I just say musky musk or dusty musk? I don't know. Of musty dust. Musky dust. That's not a real word. Okay. Her real presence. Lenina, he whispered. Lenina. Hello, everybody. A noise made him start, made him guiltily turn. He crammed up his thieveries in the suitcase and shut the lid, then listened again. Looked. Not a sign of life, not a sound. And yet he had certainly heard something. Something like a sigh. Something like the creak of a board. He tiptoed to the door and, cautiously opening it, found himself looking onto a broad landing. On the opposite side of the landing was another door, ajar. He stepped out, pushed, peeped. There, on a low bed, the sheet flung back, dressed in a pair of pink, one-piece zippy pajamas, lay Lenina, fast asleep and so beautiful in the midst of her curls, so touchingly childish with her pink toes and her grave sleeping face, so trustful in the helplessness of her limp hands and melted limbs, that the tears came to his eyes. With an infinity of quite unnecessary precautions, for nothing short of a pistol shot could have called Lenina back from her Soma holiday before the appointed time, he entered the room. He knelt on the floor beside the bed. He gazed. He clasped his hands. His lips moved. Her eyes, he murmured. Her eyes, her hair, her cheek, her gait, her voice. Handless in thy discourse, oh, that her hand, in whose comparison all whites are ink, writing their own reproach, to whose soft seizure the signet's down is harsh. A fly buzzed round her. He waved it away. Flies, he remembered. On the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand may seize and steal immortal blessing from her lips, who, even in pure and vestal modesty, still blush as thinking their own kisses sin. Very slowly, with the hesitating gesture of one who reaches forward to stroke a shy and possibly rather dangerous bird, he put out his hand. It hung there trembling, within an inch of those limp fingers, on the verge of contact. Did he dare? Dare to profane with his unworthiest hand that? No, he didn't. The bird was too dangerous. His hand dropped back. How beautiful she was. How beautiful. Then, suddenly, he found himself reflecting that he had only to take hold of the zipper at her neck and give one long, strong pull. He shut his eyes. He shook his head with the gesture of a dog shaking its ears as it emerges from the water. Detestable thought. He was ashamed of himself. Pure and vestal modesty. There was a humming in the air. Another fly trying to steal immortal blessings? A wasp? He looked, saw nothing. The humming grew louder and louder, localized itself as being outside the shuttered windows. The plane. In a panic, he scrambled to his feet and ran into the other room, vaulted through the open window, and hurrying along the path between the tall agaves, was in time to receive Bernard Marx as he climbed out of the helicopter.